Never have I thought that bees were not fulfilling every single task in their job description adequately. Never. I think they're perfectly fine in what they do, being honestly, being the world's best pollinator. Guys, leave them alone. Okay? As long as they're off my property, I don't mess with them. I'm just going to be honest. I don't like bees. But I respect their existence because, again, would we be here without them? Probably not, guys. All right, listen. So the name of the video is it cruel to use bees as digital sensors? This is coming from the channel It's Not What You Think. Let's check it out. Also, this is a suggestion via Patreon, guys. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Honeybee College for Explosive Detection. This is a real thing, and you're about to witness, step by step, how these honeybees are collected, qualified, trained, and finally transformed from mere pollen collectors into explosive detection specialists. The journey begins when the honeybees are first drafted from their hive.
Okay.
With the help of a specially designed handheld device, the bees are safely collected inside a chamber before being transferred to the lab. Before training starts, these honeybees need to chill. The bees are cooled to slow down their movement for handling purposes. The chilled bees are then safely placed into their harness and left for about 30 minutes to get used to their new environment. But loading each bee manually into a harness is kind of a tedious task for a technician. This is why some labs, like the Visual Communications Unit at Rothamsted Research, came up with an automated bee loading machine.
Of course.
The bees are confined, so they're forced to walk into a cylinder one by one. Each cylinder is then dropped into the loading tube, where each bee is slowly and safely pushed into the harness and then placed into position. The bees are typically kept in the harness for a few days before being released back to the hive.
Okay.
But how do you train honeybees exactly? Honeybees are amazing at detecting chemicals in the air. That's how they can find their favorite flowers. The simple steps required to condition a dog also apply to bees. You present the animal with a neutral stimulus, say the ringing of a bell, which doesn't mean anything at first. But if you follow the bell ring with the delivery of a biologically significant outcome, like food, the animal quickly learns that the ringing of the bell means food is coming soon.
Bro, where's PETA?
From that point on, the dog...
Guys, I will never say that again, don't worry, right? But watching how they just did this makes me want to know where PETA is on this, guys. And trust me, you'll never hear me say that again.
Dog starts salivating in the anticipation that the food is coming every time it hears the bell ring.
Right.
If you replace the bell ring with the smell of narcotics, the dog will salivate every time it smells that particular narcotic. This is the basic principle behind training a sniffer dog. Honeybees may not salivate like dogs, but they do have a tongue, or proboscis, which they exclusively use for eating. In addition, the antennae of a honeybee are vapor sensors with the sensitivity thresholds of parts in trillion, similar to the sense of smell of a dog. Since the honeybees are randomly collected, there is one important qualification test that the bees need to pass before being trained.
Go ahead.
And that is the ability to stick out their tongue when...
I'm sorry, bro. The harness looks wild. All right? It does. Imagine you were in this harness. How would you feel about that, bro? That's crazy. A little bit.
Presented with sugar water.
But I understand that obviously, you know, the benefits are absolutely amazing to us, right? But I would rather food, guys. I would rather them continuing to do exactly what they've been doing, right? So we can continue eating.
Water on the tip of a swab. This is called proboscis extension reflex, or purr. The bees that can purr make it to the training ground.
Okay.
While the bees are given a 6-second exposure to an explosive vapor, they are given a sugar water reward during the last 3 seconds. The training phase can also be automated, where the vapor is released, followed by a feeding mechanism rising in front of the bees, so they associate the two together. After 4 rounds of training, the bees that purr voluntarily after receiving the explosive scent are ready for field work. But aside from visually looking at the bees, how do you exactly monitor their response?
Right, because
There are 2 ways to do this. One, with the help of a camera. The bees are placed into a platform, which is then loaded into a monitoring device. The camera inside the device records the bees up close. With the help of some computer vision algorithms, the camera output can be interpreted to know when the bees purr. A unanimous purr signal from all the bees point to a high likelihood that they have detected the particular type of explosive that they were trained on. The second way of monitoring also involves a cartridge of bees being loaded into a machine. But instead of a
cartridge
camera,
of bees.
there is an infrared LED in front of each bee. The infrared light hits the bee and then bounces onto a light sensor. Based on the amount of light picked up by the sensor, it can tell if the bee had its tongue out or not. Now for the real to detect not only the presence, but also the type of substance.
guys, I love the science behind it. I mean, that took a lot, bro. Imagine. Like, someone sat down and thought about this, okay? Just so you are aware. They thought about using another living being as basically, oh, God, that's crazy. But either way, someone actually thought about this and made it function in a way. I mean, I respect the science. The methodology behind it is somewhat questionable, though.
After a few days, the bees are released back to the hive. It takes months to train a sniffer dog.
Okay,
but
they're being
honeybees,
released.
you can train them in a few hours. The maintenance cost of bees is also a lot less than dogs. Just need some sugar water. But more importantly, there are certain applications where bees may be a better fit than dogs, say for detecting landmines.
Okay.
It is not impossible for the weight of a dog to trigger a landmine. The African giant pouch rats are typically used for sniffing landmines since they're effective and only weigh a couple of pounds.
But guys, couldn't we do something similar with like LiDAR? I would expect, I mean, just by changing impressions on the ground, you can probably figure out where mines are with some type of LiDAR technology that we have in like all of the phones these days, guys. Right? Just thinking, I mean, do we have to? Yeah, but let's go.
Even though bees can be trained to detect landmines,
Specifically for
researchers
landmines.
soon realized that walking across a minefield with a handheld detector to see whether the bees stick out their tongue wasn't
That's a little
the best
risky.
idea.
Right. A little risky, bro.
So instead, they released the bees and used drones to monitor them. The trained bees tend to cluster around places where mines are buried in the hopes of finding food. Analyzing the footage captured by the drones could reveal where landmines may be hidden in the ground. But not all animals are trained to help with detecting explosives. Some were trained to deliver them. Many are familiar with the anti-tank dogs that the Soviets trained in the 1940s
No, not familiar at all. Enlighten me.
to deliver bombs to German tanks during World War II. But
Did
have
the
you heard
dogs
of
come back?
the pigeon-guided bombs?
Go ahead.
Just like dogs and bees, pigeons can be conditioned to respond to a particular stimulus. Say, scoring in ping pong means the little feeder opens up so the pigeon can eat. But how do you take a pigeon from playing ping pong to guiding a bomb? Turns out, in 3 easy steps. It starts with a simple moving circle. The pigeon soon learns that picking the circle means getting a reward in the form of food. After some time, the circle was replaced with a moving metal window. The pigeon also got a metal beak, which was connected to a wire. This would help determine the exact point of contact on the moving metal window.
Also, the pigeons are marking.
After continuing to peck at the center of the window, the pigeon would be rewarded. And finally, the bird was presented with the image of a warship. The picking location on the image was used as an input into the guidance system of the glider bomb, where the pigeon would be. Whenever the bomb would start to go off track, the picture of the target would move from the center to the edge of the screen. But the trained pigeons would continuously peck at the center of the target, which would bring the bomb back on track. The American psychologist and behaviorist B.F. Skinner, who was behind this project, eventually lost funding since
I can imagine.
no one took his project seriously.
Right.
The optics of having
Because that's a lot of money to risk regularly, at least, right? Specifically on a bird, guys.
lost funding since no one took his project seriously. The optics of having a bomb guided by a bird wasn't too good either.
Right. No, it doesn't sound like
But
it.
using birds as a type of weapon is not limited to the military. The Dutch police trained eagles to intercept unknown drones. From a young age, the eaglets would be trained to see the drones as prey. As adults, eagles would intercept the drones using their hunting instinct and take their prey down to a safe place, waiting to be rewarded with food. Even though the Dutch
Noted. Don't fly drones in the Netherlands. Noted. Okay. Thank you for that, because, yeah.
police
I
reported
would
a
have.
95% success rate with these eagles, animal rights activists were not too happy and shut down the program.
Okay, that makes sense. If you watched, like right when the drone came down, guys, those propellers are crazy. Guys. I mean, they will slice through your skin if in the right position, at least, right? And the bird kept hitting that drone, hitting the drone propellers, guys. It did. Like on this video, it did.
Hey, down to a
can
safe
hear
place, waiting
right
to be
there.
rewarded with food.
Yeah. So okay, I get it.
Even though the Dutch police reported a 95% success rate with these eagles, animal rights activists were not too happy and
I
shut
can see
down
it,
the
I can see
program. That's despite the fact that Teflon gloves were being developed for eagle claws to prevent injuries by fast rotating drone propellers, which are extremely dangerous. The fact of the matter is that animals have been employed by armed forces of many countries to
It's a raptor.
perform specific tasks. Falcons are used in some air bases in Lithuania to scare away birds. Foreign object damage is a real hazard to airplanes.
Right.
Dolphins and sea lions are trained to detect and mark underwater mines to protect the navies around the world. They can even attach a hook to underwater objects and help retrieve them. That includes a late 19th century steam-powered torpedo, which was detected by a dolphin and now sits in a museum. In some cases, technological alternatives are available. Instead of eagles, we could use drones that take down other drones, either by physical contact or by throwing a net at them to neutralize the propellers. Animals may be put in.
I get it, guys. It seems to be like the next world kerfuffle is probably going to be fought with drones. I can tell, because they're trying to develop a lot of anti-drone things. Guys, I'm absolutely a drone pilot. I'm licensed to fly a drone on 2 continents. And the thing about that is, all right, I am not one of the people that are going to maliciously use my drone. I've never crashed a drone ever. And I don't understand. Well, I guess because of other people could be absolutely terrible with their drones. Like some of the new ones that have the 200 time optical zoom, perfect clarity, 5.4K that can sit down the street and zoom into your window while you're changing. I get it. You have people like that out here, right? But still, you have to make concessions for the ones who are legally flying for commercial purposes. That's it. All right? That is it. But let's continue.
Harm's way during military operations and their treatment
And guys, don't come at me in the comments. I have a Part 107 license.
and care can be challenging in a combat environment. This is why the decision to use animals in the armed forces is a complex one that must consider both the benefits and the ethical considerations.
Yeah, guys, there are a lot of ethical issues when you start using other races of things on the planet specifically to do your bidding, to do our bidding. I'm telling you. Now, obviously, the races, and we're human, those are bees and dolphins and things like that, guys, right? So when you start using other things to do what you want to do, but you can't, right? That's weird. It's a little tricky, ethically at least, guys. All right? But all right, listen. Let me know in the comments how the next thing I should be checking out, and I will get into that as soon as I possibly can. All right? And listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day.